Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's session. We'll be talking with Rainbow about creating an end-to-end SMS strategy for list growth and retention. I am Kim Halegua. I am a Senior Client Strategy Manager here at Attentive, and I'd like to introduce David Cost. He is the VP of E-commerce and Marketing over at Rainbow. And I will kick it off to David to talk us through a little bit about the Rainbow brand.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks for having me.
Right.
Just to give you a little background on Rainbow, we sell clothing for women's in both juniors and plus sizes, as well as kids, and that includes shoes and accessories. We're in the fast fashion space, so we're adding roughly 100 new styles a day. We're also everyday low price, and we operate both brick and mortar and online.
Perfect. Okay. Perfect. So Rainbow has been using SMS for a very long time now, nearly 4 years with Attentive. And I've heard from David before that it has continued to be a top performing channel in terms of revenue and ROI. David, can you talk about some of your ongoing goals for the program and how you're building out an end-to-end strategy for consistently growing your list and sending more personalized messages?
So SMS is one of the main ways we communicate and keep the brand top of mind with customers. We're not big believers in doing a lot of, retargeting marketing. Once we get you to the website, it's our goal to get a mobile number, an email address, to get you to download one of our apps, and then to use those channels to be able to talk to you on a regular basis to keep the brand top of mind. So everything we do is to try to get some way to be able to continue a conversation with the customer over the long term.
Perfect. All right, next, I would love if you could talk a little bit about the strategy and features we've been using thus far to achieve these goals. So we've been working on a lot of exciting stuff for your channel, and I'd love it if you could just talk us through some of those strategies.
Yes, so, and again, we've worked with Attentive over a long period of time, and we've kind of watched over time as you've invented and continued to kind of iterate on, many of the things we do, and most of those iterations result in a big improvement. So SpintoWin is kind of the latest. So rather than do just a standard sign-up unit, where you're offering a discount, this gamifies that sign-up experience, and we'll share a little later on what the impact of that gamification is, but it's been huge. Second, the next two kind of go hand in hand. Because we sell items across different age and size categories, the more we know about the customer, the better we can target messaging. So being able to determine if the customer is interested in junior sizes or plus sizes, if they have kids and they're interested in kids, that enables us to more precisely tailor the kinds of communications we have with them. And look, I think it's the ultimate personalization, right? When you actually ask users what they're interested in and they tell you, now you can really personalize, based on that data.
Perfect. I totally agree. So we'll dig into each one of these, but we're going to start off with SpintoWin. So I'll start off by giving just a quick overview of what exactly these units are. SpintoWin sign-up units can help you drive more engagement and faster list growth by making it fun for potential subscribers to opt in. So like David mentioned, rather than just a static sign-up unit where we're saying sign up to text to get this offer, you're giving shoppers who visit your site a chance to win an offer that can be used towards their purchase, whether it's a discount, a free shipping offer, or some other type of reward in exchange for actually sharing their email and phone number. So that gamification of the experience, really stands out, especially when shoppers today have so many options. David, can you talk a little bit about why you decided to launch SpintoWin when we had talked about it after our annual planning session?
I mean, look, we've learned over the years that when Attentive suggests something, it's in our best interest to give it a try. You always have a way for us to try it where we can A/B test it and see what the real results are. But the innovations that have come out of the various the various attempts at this, each one gets better. And when you presented SpintoWin to us, it just kind of seemed like a no-brainer. Now, I will tell you, we were really surprised at the results. I mean, we thought it was going to be good. but not near as good as it's turned out to be.
That's really great to hear. Great. So I'll just round out this slide a little bit by giving our audience some of the best practices that come along with these SpintoWin units. So when you're ultimately deciding to set this up, we recommend making the largest offer amount the automatic winner for each spin. So in this example from this spinning wheel unit that you're seeing here on your right, for Rainbow, the shoppers are playing to win 5%, 8%, or 10% off. But really, everyone is a winner that engages with this unit, and they're automatically going to get that 10% off offer for engaging. And since it's the largest offer, they really feel like they're winning. All right, moving right along. So David, could you talk about some of those really great A/B test results that you saw that you mentioned?
Yeah, look, our email opt-ins more than doubled, and our SMS opt-ins almost doubled. So to really have the only change, right? We didn't change the offer whatsoever. It's just the UI. It's just the way it engages the customer. To be able to double an opt-in rate was a huge win.
Totally. We totally agree. All right. So we're going to transition to our next strategy, and that is our two-way conversational journeys. So Rainbow has actually been using conversational for quite some time to help you segment your audience, that really large subscriber base that you've grown over the years in working with Attentive. So we're focusing mainly on subscribers who are interested in women's, plus size clothing, or both, and as well trying to capture that gauge of an interest in a kids category. David, can you talk a little bit about the strategy behind the reasons for launching that journey, the benefit of trying to capture that preference from subscribers, and why you focused on those categories specifically?
So here's why it's so important for us. If you're a plus size customer and we send you to a junior size page, the content's really not right for you and you're going to bounce and leave. Same thing, vice versa. If you're a junior customer and we show you plus size clothing, it clearly doesn't apply to you, you bounce and leave. If you're a 20-something and kids are not in your time horizon, showing you kids clothing can be kind of a turnoff. But if you're a mom and you want to shop for your kids in addition, then it's a win. So being able to get directly from the customer what size range they're interested in and whether they're interested in kids or not lets us tailor when we send out a marketing send. The landing page is going to be different based on what those preferences are. And being able to customize landing page to make it what the person is looking for has a big impact on the results we get from sending messages.
I totally agree. And something I really liked about your conversational message in particular is that you include language saying exactly why you're asking for that preference, right? So it's kind of a subtle and simple way to let new subscribers know what they can expect from your SMS channel, and that you want them to be able to, send them content and offers that they're interested in and that's relevant for them, like you mentioned. So using that segmentation capability to send the right content to the right person at the right time really goes a long way in terms of driving retention. Okay, and now we're just going to take a little bit of a look into what exactly this conversational journey looks like. So in this example, we're looking at a person that is using that plus size preference. So once they sign up to opt into SMS, they're of course receiving that 10% off offer. And then immediately, while you have their attention, you're trying to gauge their preference. So in this case, the person would text back the number 2, which would indicate that they fall within that plus size product preference, which would segment them out to that audience. And then you can immediately follow up with a text message that contains a link that would direct them to that plus size clothing where they could shop around. Can you talk a little bit about, David, how the value of driving subscribers to those product pages while they're high intent and while they're kind of giving their preference right off the bat?
It's like everything we do online. Being able to send someone to an appropriate landing page can make all the difference in how something performs. So not having to take somebody to a home page and make them navigate through or take them to something that's more generic, being able to take them exactly to the category that they're interested in just kind of makes sense. And it's why we see such a big lift in conversions when we're able to personalize that journey.
Exactly. And taking that one step further, like you said, we then gauge their interest in the kids category. So can you talk a little bit about capturing that secondary preference and what that does for Rainbow?
And this lets us, we have some customers who, are not in the market to buy kids clothing, and some that are. So, selling to a 20-something, they're probably not that interested in hearing a lot about kids apparel. A young mom is. So being able to let them tell us what their preference is lets us hit them with content that's relevant to them and not bother them with content that they're really not interested in. Right? SMS is such a powerful channel. When you send that message, they're going to see it on the phone and they're going to take an action. You don't want to abuse it. So by sending them content that they tell us is relevant is always going to be superior to trying to guess or send them generic content.
Got it. All righty then. Now we're going to talk about our last strategy, which is preference collection. So I think we're all aware that the ability to collect zero and first-party data is becoming more and more valuable. We've seen how easy it is to do this with text messaging, with our conversational welcome journey that we just spoke about, by simply just asking your subscribers directly about their preferences. So that brings us to kind of a different way of doing this that Rainbow has recently implemented, which is putting the preference collection form within the opt-in experience. So David, can you talk a little bit about that preference collection strategy and the benefit of gathering subscriber data at the point of sign up?
So this is really a variation on the first attempt. And this is like one of those subtle UI changes that, you find when you test. The number of people who complete this form is significantly higher than the number that complete the SMS chain. So being able to ask this upfront when someone signs up, we're getting far more responses, which lets us do far more personalization going forward. So this preference collection has been a real winner for us.
Perfect. Yeah, and I just want to kind of drill down a little bit more into exactly what the experience looks like for the subscriber in terms of that welcome conversational flow that we just talked about, as well as the preference collection. So in the case of what we're talking about now, the preference collection strategy, the user would visit Rainbow's mobile site, for example. They will be served our gamified experience of our SpintoWin unit, land on that 10% off offer, and then be asked for what categories they're interested in shopping for: women's, plus size, or kids. And then they would go through the flow where they're opting in for SMS. And in this case, they would be receiving a welcome journey that does not have that conversational aspect to it, because of course we don't want to be asking the person the same question twice. But in other instances where Rainbow is using our text to join keywords, for example, or our Shopify marketing checkout box, where they're not shown that preference collection option when they're signing up, then in that case, they would be entered into our conversational welcome flow, where they would then be asked about their preference. So it's kind of a win-win, because in each case, we're definitely getting that that ability to segment them into a audience that we can then engage with and offer up more relevant content, no matter how they sign up, whether that be through the full screen SpintoWin pop-up or another sign-up unit that we offer. And then here we just have a couple of examples of personalized messages, like you had mentioned, David, that you've sent to customers depending on the preference that that you collected on either the sign-up unit or within the journey. So can you discuss a little bit about combining the subscriber data that we're capturing in either way, and how you're using that to send more targeted messages?
So let's say, for example, we're going to send a message about dresses. If we know the customer has given us plus size as their preference, then the landing page for that group is going to be plus size dresses. Same thing if it's women's. If they haven't given us a preference, then we send them to a generic page that essentially has buttons or navigation to get them to women's or plus. But for people who give us a preference and we can directly send them to the right category, we're seeing a 10x increase in the revenue that gets produced from those SMSs. So again, being able to take that data that they're giving us about how they want us to personalize what we send them, they respond in terms of how they react when they get that specific content.
Perfect. Yeah, we've definitely seen some big wins from incorporating the preference collection in addition to the conversational welcome journey. Great. All right. So before we wrap up, I'd love for you to share just what you're most excited about implementing next with Attentive. And yeah, just some of those strategies that you're most excited about.
So the two examples on the screen are kind of two of my favorites. So price drops and low inventory. Our number one message that we send across any channel are low inventory messages. So fear of missing out is real. And when somebody adds something to their cart or their basket and they don't pull the trigger, being able to let them know when that item is about to sell out, it is the number one revenue producing thing we do. So low inventory alerts are a huge win. Price drops are nice, and they add a healthy bit of incremental revenue, but low inventory is just a real driver, and I would advise anyone to check into both of these alert messages. We're also experimenting with how we use or how we can gather mobile numbers from some of our social platforms. And look, we clearly know that, every day SMS seems to get stronger as a channel and some of our other channels get a little weaker. Anything we can do to capture a mobile number and have permission to be able to message the customer via SMS, we know that's going to be the lifetime value of somebody that gives us that permission is going to be much higher than somebody that doesn't.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's all we have for today. David, thank you so much for joining and being such a trusted partner of Attentive. Thank you everyone for listening. To learn more about list growth and gamification, like we talked about today, check out our blog on delivering entertaining shopping experience using gamification. And then stay tuned for our next session, digging into the findings from our recent survey of over 5,000 US consumers about how they prefer to shop and interact with brands today. Thank you all so much.